Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to dive in.
Awesome. So today we're tackling something that's kind of the unsung hero or, well, maybe villain sometimes of fitness hormones.
Ooh. Yeah, hormones. They can be tricky little things.
Right. And, I was talking with Sean, the Zero Fitness Fox guy.
Oh, yeah. Love his book.
Me too. Yeah. Anyway, we got us talking about how hormones can seriously make or break your fitness goals. I mean, it's not always about how hard you're working out.
It's like you can be doing all the right things, hitting the gym, watching what you eat, but if your hormones are all out of
You're
whack,
kind of fighting an uphill battle.
exactly. It's like trying to drive a car with a flat tire, you know? You can push the gas all you want, but you're not going to get very far.
Perfect analogy. And Sean really broke it down, talked about all these different factors that can mess with your hormones, like stress,
So
obviously.
stress is a big one.
Huge. Sleep, too, right? Diet, even age, and get this, even exercise itself can mess with your hormones if you're not careful.
Yeah, too much of a good thing, right?
Exactly. So let's break all this down, starting with stress. I mean, who isn't stressed these days? But we don't always think about how that stress is impacting our workouts.
Right. And it's all about cortisol. When we're stressed, our bodies pump out cortisol, which is fine in small doses. It's actually helpful, like in fight or flight situations.
Right, it gives us that energy boost to deal with whatever's going on.
Exactly. But when it's chronic, when we're constantly stressed, those cortisol levels stay elevated, and that starts to cause problems.
Problems like what? Give us the nitty-gritty.
Well, cortisol actually breaks down muscle tissue,
Yeah.
and it can make your body store more fat. So basically, it's doing the opposite of what we want when we're trying to get fit.
So basically, stress is making us hold on to the things we don't want and lose the things we do. Ugh, not cool. Cortisol.
Okay.
Okay, so stress is a no-go. What about sleep? I know I'm guilty of not getting enough.
Yeah, sleep is so crucial. And Sean mentioned some research that really blew my mind. Apparently, even one night of bad sleep can mess with your hormone balance.
Seriously, just one night.
Yep. It can lower testosterone and growth hormone, which are key for building muscle and recovering from workouts.
So it's not just about getting enough sleep, it's about getting good quality sleep too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You want that deep restorative sleep where your body can really go to work, repairing tissues, producing hormones, all that good stuff.
Okay, so we've covered stress, we've covered sleep. What about diet?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. We hear a lot about calories in, calories out when it comes to weight loss.
Yeah, that's the classic advice, right?
Right, but it's not the whole story. Because what Sean really emphasized was the impact of processed foods and sugar on our hormones.
So it's not just about empty calories, it's about how these foods mess with our hormones too.
Exactly. And the key player here is insulin.
Okay, break this down for me, because I know insulin is important, but I don't totally get how it works.
So think of insulin as the key that unlocks your cells to let glucose, which is sugar, in for energy. When you eat a lot of processed foods and sugar, your body is constantly flooded with glucose, and it have to produce more and more insulin to deal with it.
And what happens then?
Well, over time, your cells can actually become resistant to insulin. It's like they get tired of being bombarded with all this glucose.
So the key stops working.
In a way, yeah. And this is where it gets tricky because insulin resistance messes with the production of other important hormones like testosterone and growth hormone.
There they are again. Those two seem to be involved in everything.
They really are. And when they're out of balance, it can be really hard to build muscle, lose fat, have energy, all that good stuff.
So basically, eating crap is not only bad for us in the obvious ways, it's messing with our hormones and setting us up for failure in the long run.
It's a chain reaction, really. You start with bad food choices, and it leads to this cascade of hormonal imbalances that make it harder to reach your fitness goals.
This is all starting to feel very interconnected. It's like we can't just focus on one thing. It's about the big picture.
Exactly. And speaking of the big picture, there's one more factor we have to talk about: age.
Oh, yeah, that's the one we can't really control, right?
True, we can't stop time, but we can understand how it affects our bodies. As we age, certain hormones, like testosterone, naturally decline.
And I'm guessing that makes it harder to stay in shape.
It can, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. Knowing about these changes allows us to adjust our approach, maybe tweak our training, focus on different types of exercise, things like that.
So it's not about fighting the inevitable. It's about working with our bodies as they change.
Exactly. Adaptation is key. And this actually brings us to exercise itself.
Oh, right, because we said even exercise can mess with your hormones, right?
It can, if you overdo it. There's a sweet spot, you know? You need to challenge yourself enough to stimulate those hormonal responses, but not so much that you're constantly stressed and overtrained.
So there's that Goldilocks zone again. Not too little, not too much, just right.
Exactly. Scheich talks a lot about this in his book, this idea of finding that balance, of working smarter, not harder.
Which I love. Because who wants to spend all their time in the gym and still not see results? Okay, so we've talked about all the things that can throw our hormones out of whack. But what about the good stuff? How does exercise actually help our hormones?
Well, for starters, exercise can improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells become more responsive to insulin and better able to use glucose for energy.
So it kind of helps undo some of the damage that processed foods and sugar can do.
Exactly. It also boosts leptin, which is a hormone that helps regulate appetite and tells your body when you've had enough to eat.
So it's not just about burning calories during the workout, it's about regulating those hunger signals so we make better choices throughout the day.
Right. And then there are endorphins, which, let's be honest, are one of the best parts of exercise.
Oh yeah, that feel-good factor is undeniable. I always feel so much better after a good workout. More energized, more focused.
Exactly. And even cortisol, which we've been talking about as the bad guy, can actually be beneficial during exercise.
Wait, really? How does that work?
Well, in the right amounts, cortisol helps mobilize energy stores and improves focus during your workout. It's all about finding that balance, remember?
Okay, so it's not necessarily about eliminating cortisol altogether. It's about making sure it's working for us, not against us.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the big takeaways here is this idea of our hormones being like an orchestra, and we need to be the conductor, making sure everything is in sync.
That is such a great way to put it. And it really emphasizes how interconnected everything is. It's not just about hitting the gym. It's about sleep.
Yeah.
It's about stress management. It's about what we're putting into our bodies.
It's about adopting that holistic approach that Sean talks about.
Totally. You know what? I think we need a quick break. We've been doing a lot of talking. Let's give our listeners a chance to catch their breath, and we'll be right back to dive even deeper into this hormone stuff. And hey, while we're at it, let's hear from our sponsor, Primus 3. They make some awesome performance-enhancing electrolytes that can really help you get the most out of your workouts.
Definitely check them out.
We'll be right back.
You've probably seen this all over TikTok. It's called Primus 3, the performance-enhancing electrolyte supplement that's taking the fitness world by storm. Packed with vitamins and amino acids, it's designed to boost your workouts and recovery. Available in delicious flavors, Primus 3 is the secret weapon for athletes and fitness enthusiasts everywhere.
And we're back. All right, so before the break, we were talking about how important it is to understand how our hormones are working or not working for us.
Yeah, and Shanine had some really great advice on this.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
He's a big advocate for getting tested if you suspect you might have a hormonal imbalance.
So instead of just guessing or trying random things, you can actually get some concrete data and figure out what's going on.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
And then you can work with a healthcare professional to come up with a plan that addresses your specific needs.
That makes so much sense. Instead of feeling frustrated and hitting a wall, you can actually target the root of the problem.
Right. It's empowering, you know?
Yeah.
You're not just a victim of your hormones. You can actually take control and make positive changes.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the practical side of things, but what about the science? Is there actual research to back all this up?
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton of research on hormones and how they impact our health and fitness. For example, there are studies showing that resistance training can boost growth hormone even in older adults.
No way. That's awesome.
It is. It just goes to show that it's never too late to make positive changes, and that exercise can have a profound impact on our hormonal health no matter our age.
That's so encouraging. You know, this whole conversation has really been a game changer for me. I think I was approaching fitness with this kind of one-size-fits-all mentality.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into that trap.
But now I'm realizing that it's so much more nuanced than that. We have to consider our individual hormonal profiles, our stress levels, our sleep habits, everything.
It's a complex system, but it's also incredibly fascinating. And the more we understand it, the better equipped we are to optimize our health and fitness.
So the big takeaway here is that hormones really are the key to unlocking our full fitness potential.
Couldn't agree more.
You know, if anyone wants to dive deeper into all this, I highly recommend checking out Sean's book, Zero Fitness Fucks. He goes into so much more detail. It's a really great read.
Definitely a must-read for anyone serious about fitness.
All right, well, before we wrap things up completely, let's take one more quick break to hear from our sponsor, Primus 3, those amazing electrolytes we were talking about.
Sounds good to me.
You've probably seen this all over TikTok. It's called Primus 3, the performance-enhancing electrolyte supplement that's taking the fitness world by storm. Packed with vitamins and amino acids, it's designed to boost your workouts and recovery. Available in delicious flavors, Primus 3 is the secret weapon for athletes and fitness enthusiasts everywhere.
All right, we are back for the final stretch.
Ready to wrap things up?
Almost. But first, I want to leave our listeners with a question to ponder. We've talked about how stress, sleep, and diet can impact our hormones, right? So knowing that, what's one thing you can do today to improve those areas and just maybe give your hormones a little boost? It's something to think about.
Great question. Sometimes small changes can make a big difference.
Exactly. All right, folks, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of hormones and fitness.
It's been a great conversation.
It really has. Until next time, keep those hormones happy.
And keep those fitness fucks to a minimum.
Haha, exactly. See y'all next time.